Dame Vivienne Westwood walks the runway to model in the PA. Labour leader Jeremy Corbyn meets with local party supporters and residents in Pennycook, Midlothian, before speaking at a campaign rally at the town's Miners' Welfare Hall. PA volunteers create a heart-shaped collection of plastic bottles littering the foreshore of the River Thames at Queenhithe Dock in central London, in an event organised by the PA florist Hank Rolling poses with a Vanda orchid during a press preview of the Thai Orchid Festival at Kew Gardens, London. Getty. A staff member poses behind a moon jellyfish tank during the annual stocktake at London Zoo. Prime Minister Theresa May joins female members of both houses at the Palace of Westminster, to mark the 100th anniversary of the passing of the Representation of the People Act, which gave certain women over the age of 30 a vote and the right to stand for Parliament. UK Parliament. Jessica Taylor, PA. Lauri Love outside the Royal Courts of Justice after a judge ruled against extraditing him to America in a case where he was accused of hacking thousands of US government computers. A statue of suffragette Alice Hawkins being unveiled in Market Square, Leicester. Ms. Hawkins, a shoe machinist, was jailed 5 times while leading the suffragette campaign in the city in the early 20th century. PA demonstrators gather on Gover Street in central London ahead of a march towards Downing Street to protest against underfunding and privatisation of the NHS and demand an end to the winter crisis in the health service. Rex Millicent Fawcett by Annie Swinnerton, newly on display at Tate Britain. Fawcett was a leading figure in the suffragist movement and campaigned relentlessly to get the vote for women in this country. The portrait of her is on display at Tate Britain to mark the centenary of the Representation of the People Act, which gave women over 30 the right to vote. Rex. British Prime Minister Theresa May and husband Philip May visit the Forbidden City in Beijing during her 3-day visit to China. Getty. A supermoon rises behind blocks of flats in North London. Reuters. Members of the Jarl Squad dressed in Viking suits after marching through the streets in Lerwick on the Shetland Isles during the Uphelly AA Viking Festival. PA. Travis Frayne, left, and Dan Het from the Survivors Against Terror group talked to students at Manchester Enterprise Academy. Frayne survived the Westminster attack in March 2017, while Het's brother Martin was one of the 22 who died in the Manchester attack in May 2017. PA. Members of the English Civil War Society take part in the King's Army annual March and Parade in London, as they commemorate the execution of Charles I. The route follows the route taken by Charles I from St James Palace on the Mall to the place of his death at the Banqueting House in Whitehall. PA. Will Grigg celebrates scoring Wigan's second goal from the penalty spot during the Emirates FA Cup 4th round match against West Ham at the DW Stadium. League One. Wigan knocked out the Premier League side 2-0. PA. US entrepreneur and co-founder of the Microsoft Corporation, Bill Gates, and Britain's International Development Secretary Penny Mordaunt meet vet Andy Hopker and students Vanya Lalji and Jennifer Hunt during an event to launch the Global Academy of Agriculture and Food Security at the University of Edinburgh. AFP. Getty. President Donald Trump meets with British Prime Minister Theresa May at the World Economic Forum in Davos. Alan Wynne-Jones of Wales, Guilhem Guirado of France, Dylan Hartley of England, Rory Best of Ireland, John Barclay of Scotland, and Sergio Paris of Italy pose with the trophy during the Six Nations launch event at the Hilton in London. Getty. Kyle Edmund reacts after winning his men's quarter-final match against Grigor Dimitrov at the Australian Open. He will play 6th seed Marin Cilic in the semi-final. Rex. U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson next to U.S. Ambassador to Britain Woody Johnson on a visit to the new embassy in London, a discreet move after criticism of U.S. President Donald Trump, who refused to inaugurate it. AFP. Getty. Women's rights demonstrators hold placards and chant slogans during the Time's Up rally at Richmond Terrace, opposite Downing Street. The Time's Up Women's March marks the 1-year anniversary of the first Women's March in London, and in 2018 it is inspired by the Time's Up movement against sexual abuse.
The Time's Up initiative was launched at the start of January 2018 as
a response to the
Getty. Britain's Penny Coombs and Nicholas Buckland perform in the pair's ice dance free dance event at the European Figure Skating Championships in Moscow. Abhishek graze in a field in Thornhill, Scotland. Forecasters have issued a new warning of snow and icy conditions in southern Scotland, with the police advising people to leave work early in affected areas. Getty. French President Emmanuel Macron and British Prime Minister Theresa May look up at a military flypast at Sandhurst Military Academy in Camberley. Theresa May is expected to make an announcement as part of the Anglo-France summit at the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst, where she will discuss Britain's strong and wide-ranging bilateral relationship with President Macron. EPA jackknifed lorry is recovered on the M74, following motorists spending the night stranded on the motorway in Abington, Scotland. Mountain rescue teams spent the night helping drivers following heavy snowfall in the Dumfries and Galloway region. Getty Carillion, which has a variety of private and public service contracts in Britain and employs 43,000 staff worldwide, announced its immediate liquidation on Monday after the heavily indebted company failed to secure a last-ditch financial rescue from the government and banks. Carillion held a £335 million contract to build a new Liverpool City hospital, the delivery of which was already delayed by the time the company went into liquidation. AFP Dolores O'Riordan, frontwoman of the iconic Irish grunge rock band The Cranberries, died suddenly at the age of 46. A spokesperson for O'Riordan said she died suddenly in London, where she had travelled for a short recording session. Rex Durant celebrates with a trophy after victory during Day 9 of the BDO World Professional Darts Championship 2018 at the Lakeside PA. The Whittlesea Straw Bear Festival in Cambridgeshire celebrates the Old Fenland Plough custom of parading straw bears around the town every January. This festival happens on the first weekend after Plough Monday. Procession, led by the Straw Bear, has over 250 dances, musicians and performers. They perform traditional Molly, Morris, clog and sword dancing. Rex workers look at the Madame Tussauds wax figure of US President Donald Trump outside the new US Embassy in Nine Elms, London, after Mr. Trump confirmed he will not travel to the UK to open the new building, and hit out at the location of the $1.2 billion, £886 million project. Writing on Twitter, Trump said he thought the embassy's move from Grosvenor Square in the prestigious Mayfair district of central London to Nine Elms, south of the Thames, was a bad deal. PA. British Prime Minister Theresa May watches birds from inside a bird hide with schoolchildren at the Wildfowl and Wetland Trust's WWT, ahead of a speech to launch the government's environment plan in London. Campaigners on January 11 criticised Theresa May's plan to eliminate all avoidable plastic waste within 25 years, calling it a missed opportunity that lacked the necessary urgency. The government will extend a charge on plastic bags to all businesses and encourage supermarkets to introduce plastic-free aisles, May said in speech. AFP, Getty. Cirque du Soleil, OVO, dress rehearsal at the Royal Albert Hall. Rex. Prime Minister Theresa May leads her first cabinet meeting of the new year at 10 Downing Street. PA. Journalist Carrie Gracie speaks to the media outside the BBC in London after she turned down a £45,000 rise, describing the offer as a botched solution to the problem of unequal pay at the BBC. Gracie said she told the corporation she wanted equality, rather than more money, and was determined not to help the organisation perpetuate a failing pay structure by discriminating against women. A man reads a newspaper as he takes part in the annual No Trousers on the Tube Day, No Pants subway ride at Liverpool Street Station. Started in 2002 with only 7 participants, the day is now marked in over 60 cities around the world. The idea behind No Pants is that random passengers board a subway car at separate stops in the middle of winter, without wearing trousers. The participants wear all of their usual winter clothing on their top half, such as hats, scarves and gloves, and do not acknowledge each other's similar state of undress. AFP, Getty. League Two side Coventry City celebrate victory over Premier League side Stoke in the FA Cup third round. PAA commendation ceremony takes place at Manchester Town Hall to recognise the actions of police and rail staff following the terrorist attack at Manchester Arena in May 2017. PA Stewart, no surname given, with his possessions in a bus stop near Windsor Castle, Berkshire. Prime Minister Theresa May has said she disagrees with Tory council leader Simon Dudley, who called on police to clear rough sleepers from Windsor before the royal wedding. PA storm Eleanor lashed the UK with violent storm force winds of up to 100 miles per hour. PA members of National Union of Rail, Maritime and Transport (RMT) hold a demonstration against rail fare increases outside King's Cross railway station, London. Average rail ticket prices across Britain have risen by 3.4%. The biggest increase to rail fares for 5 years. EPAA man takes part in the Mappleton Bridge Jump, an annual unofficial tradition where those willing jump from Oakover Bridge on New Year's Day into the River Dove. PA passing clouds creating beautiful colours in Wimbledon. On the last sunset of the year, Rex, one person was taken to hospital after a fire broke out on the 9th floor of a building in Joyner Street in Manchester's northern quarter. MCR_cabby, Twitter. Heavy snow, rain, thunderstorms and wind have caused disruption across much of Britain as a band of severe weather rolled across the country. Travellers were warned of dangerous roads conditions, with Highways England advising road users to pack shovels, food and water if they do venture out. The weather didn't just affect travel however. Camels on a farm near Richmond, North Yorkshire and various other animals are having to deal with the cold weather. PA Alistair Cook celebrates after reaching his double century during the third day of the fourth Ashes cricket test match. Reuters. Sheep are driven to another field in the Cotswolds after overnight snow caused travel disruptions across parts of the UK. PA Harry Kane celebrates after scoring his third goal, Tottenham's fifth, during the Boxing Day Premier League match against Southampton at Wembley. He broke Alan Shearer's record of 36 Premier League goals in a calendar year, scoring 39 from 36 matches. Kane also finished 2017 as Europe's leading scorer ahead of Barcelona's Lionel Messi, who has 54 goals from 63 appearances in all competitions. Harry Kane has 56 from 52. AFP